We'll give everyone until 10 o'clock, and then we can start.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar. We seem to have a few folks still logging in, so I'll give them a few moments here to log in and get settled, and then we'll get started shortly. Okay, we're a few minutes past the hour, so why don't we go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. My name is Gabe Viola, and I welcome you to the webinar on the importance of a clean universe, and it's not just for a CMS audit. Today's presentation will run about 40, maybe 45 minutes. We will be putting everybody's phones on mute throughout the presentation, so if you have any questions, please feel free to type them on the chat box. The chat box you can usually find at the bottom right of your screen, or if you want a shortcut, pressing the Alt-H will bring up the chat box, and you can go ahead and type your queries there. If you'd rather, you're welcome to send email to brenda.wade@innovare.com, and that's BRENDA period WADE at Innovare, INOVARE.com. If you do have questions today and we don't get a chance to answer them while we're on the webinar, we will respond to every question via email as soon as possible, and hopefully shortly after the presentation. Our presentation today is going to be with myself, Gabe Viola, and with Brenda Wade, our Chief Compliance Officer for Innovare. Brenda and I have worked together, Brenda, longer than I want to recall, right? We've been in the industry for almost 50 years, in the healthcare industry, both in compliance and in operations. Brenda and I have worked together in several companies and apart in several other companies. And we've remained close friends and colleagues and are happy to be reunited here at Innovare and are looking forward to working together and to helping folks out through the industry.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gabe. All right, everyone. Well, welcome. Thank you for spending the morning with us. Today, the focus is going to be on CMS Universes and why the creation of them should not be the victory. We're going to be discussing why they are so important, and what are some of the common challenges and why those challenges exist, what those challenges say about your compliance program, and what you should be doing with them besides just submitting them to your regulators.
We all know we all love change. If you ask someone if change is needed, you'll likely be given an enthusiastic yes, of course change is needed. But if you ask them what are they going to do to help the change happen, or what are they going to do to change themselves, then immediately the tone goes from a enthusiastic tone to one of uh-oh. And usually they'll come up with every excuse in the book of why they can't change. Sometimes we need to just get out of our own way. There is a new paradigm switch happening, real-time compliance, and why every organization needs to figure out how to get there. You know, excuse me. We all know about the 3-strike rule. It's been drilled into this ever since CMS made the changes to the universes into program audit. But even if we get past getting the universes submitted, we still run the risk of being knocked out before the fight even begins. Not having accurate universe can drastically affect your audit score. Poor audit results can lead to a referral for possible enforcement actions. It can adversely affect the star rating and past performance. In fact, Jennifer Smith from CMS, Division of Analysis and Policy, was quoted saying, "An inability to pull a universe will adversely affect your ability to conduct the audit, our ability to conduct the audit, and your ability to complete that audit." Yep. Sorry here, I ran into a little technical difficulty here. There we go. All right. One example that we've come across recently as we were working with a client is the, you all know that the ODAG universe takes in a bunch of information. A couple of the questions that are in the request is, was the case timely, and if interest was paid on the claim. So imagine you're surprised when you're doing your analysis and you find that you have claims that are timely, but yet you paid interest on them. Again, this just is coming out of the CMS universe. So, not only is Medicare seeing this, but, where'd you miss it? Just shows how you need to utilize the tools you already have to monitor and watch what is going on, even when there's no audit scheduled.
Thanks, Gabe. Actually, that brings up a great point. That's why we want to talk about the utilization of real-time universes as well. So why are our universes so important? Well, we know universe generation and analysis is one of the best tools at health plan. It gives you the ability to find problems, prove to your regulators that you're compliant, and improve member care. So what does that mean if you're only producing universes quarterly or annually for mock audits or for a program audit? Are you actually able to enhance your organization effectively if the data you are using is 3, 6, or 9 months old? That is why real-time compliance is crucial. Real-time compliance is your ability to see what is happening while it is happening, so you can modify or change in order to serve your members better. How do you get real-time compliance? By creating your universes all the time with real-time data.
We've all gone through this. We've all been through enough audits. We know that the problem is in most organizations, compliance doesn't have a direct access or line of sight to real-time operation data. And I'm as guilty as anybody else. As an operations specialist, you always try to keep compliance a little bit at bay as you're doing your day-to-day activities. Instead, you must, and on top of that, you must rely on IT to construct reports, pull from operation data sources, or depend on reports that operations areas compile and provide you. Changing existing reports, creating new ones, or obtaining ad hoc data can be difficult and time-consuming. Worse, the potential time lag, as Brenda alluded to, it could be killer. You're talking about things that are happening 2-3 months in the rears. How do you change that? How do you get ahead of the game when you're looking at information that is, again, several months in the past? In some cases, critical issues may not be identified at all until an internal audit or some member of a regulatory group comes in and identifies it and shows it to you. So what is the solution? To be truly effective and meet CMS's expectations, compliance must somehow figure out how to get the information immediately. So we need to break down that wall between operations and compliance and actually link the two. Eliminate data lag. Eliminate dependency on IT and or business areas to create and deliver the reports that are needed to review and to monitor what's going on. Eliminate reliance on data and metrics compiled by others that haven't been validated. You need the ability to ID risks as they emerge before they become significant. In short, you have to be able to oversee your organization in real time, or as close to real time as you can.
So I'd like everyone to think about these last two slides Gabe has shown us and how universe generation works in your organization. How much time and effort does it take? And how many different areas of your organization are involved? What are some of the challenges or difficulties you've encountered in the past or are currently encountering? Does your organization practice on a regular basis? And if so, do you have it wired to the extent that you're fully comfortable? More importantly, can you generate a universe at any time with current data to ensure your train is on the tracks? Are you able to pinpoint where you are failing and where you are succeeding?
So all crucial questions and all things that are, again, not an easy challenge. Let's talk for a sec, going back just for a moment, about the universes. What are some of the most common problems that have been identified? And again, these aren't secrets. If you go to the CMS website, you can identify what their most common issues are. Description of the problem they have as number one is data in the wrong fields. The data is in a time field. I mean, again, you would think these sound pretty silly, but it's amazing how many times that they've come across this, and how many times we've seen it as we're helping clients go through audits. Missing data, blank fields. CMS requires in a lot of the fields that we put a not applicable, when that's not appropriate, versus leaving it blank. Again, things like that need to be put in place. And again, these items are just keeping you even from getting to the starting gate with a CMS audit or with a program audit. Inappropriate data. Existing members included in the universe for new members. Denied claims and paid claims universe.
So with all that being said, I can see where all of you are doing the same thing. What sure feels like the consensus here is generating a universe is clearly the victory. We all know how hard it is. We all know how much time it takes. We all know just getting that done, and then we go home for a very short weekend and breathe a huge sigh of relief. Unfortunately, even with all that pressure from leadership or a regulatory body to do so, that's not the victory. Getting everything right in our universes is a real challenge, especially considering the tight turnaround time and limited number of attempts that were allowed. Given the stress and level of the effort involved, it's easy to understand why a successful universe submission feels like the victory. Unfortunately, you know the reality. Successful universe submission is just the price of admission. Just what gets you in the game. CMS is going to pick those universes apart, and the rest of the audit lies ahead of you. When the audit starts, at best, you know only as much as CMS already knows, and there's a very good chance you know even less. What if we change your thinking on that?
Again, to talk about, it's all easy for us to sit and say, okay, change our thinking on that. So, why are generating clean, accurate universes so difficult and stressful to begin with? Okay, well, technical specifications are extremely complex. The ODAG and CDAGs are particularly good examples of that. Getting the right items into the right use at the right time in the format that they want. Again, not a simple task. Data must come from a variety of sources. Internally, data different business owners with different systems and platforms. Externally, data from delegated entities. We know gathering the data from internal and external sources must be accurately aggregated and entered into the universe. Quality checks are crucial. Complete universe can have thousands of lines of items and tens of thousands of individual components. It's real difficult to check through each and every one of those items to validate that the field isn't blank, or that the date isn't in the wrong section, or that somebody didn't put a comma in the wrong place that has changed your specifications on your program.
Correct. So,
top of that all, on top of that all, the timelines are short, and you've got to get it done, in immediate time, especially during the audit. I'm sorry, Brenda.
No, please. As compliance folks, we always have something to say. I was just gonna follow along with that and just say, I love what you're saying about how you look at this from an operational perspective, and then to throw the compliance perspective on here. The compliance areas do not have direct access or line of sight to this operational source data. And what that means is that we have to rely on IT or our operations or our organization's business owners to pull together our universes. Then we have to take a lot of what we're given on faith. There's very little time to do integrity and validity testing. Almost no time at all to QC what we're given. And when an issue arises, we have very little means to investigate or analyze ourselves. We can send it out to our staff, we can break it up in chunks and have everyone take a look, but where's the consistency? Where's the continuity of everyone looking at it the same way? And then finally, we have to go back to IT or the business owners for all the answers. And that takes precious time that we don't have.
Dependence IT is crucial, and the business owners as well. As compliance departments, like Brenda alluded to, you're subject to them getting the information that you need, and often. And why does that become such a chore, and takes so much time to get done? I mean, one of the key things is, the reports are only run when it's being asked for, and that's one of the things that has to change as you go to the real-time compliance or validation of what's going on. You're going to have those reports run where it becomes just a routine, function that's taking place. That way you don't have to, validate it each and every time. You're validating as you're doing your auditing. Those are some of the things that, we have to try to achieve. Compliance continually is working on with old data, and old data is hard to, how would you say it? Old data is hard to make relevant, right? If you identify you paid claims in the past incorrectly, great. So you go back and you fix that. Now you have to have operations go in and run 3 months worth of claims validation and get that moving forward. Versus if you would have run that, or if you have the ability to get your universes run on a quarterly basis. Excuse me.
No, absolutely. So I guess that asks the questions, what if it didn't take a full-scale organizational victory just to generate a clean universe? What if you could look at the information Gabe was just talking about? What if you could look at your claims data every day? What if you could find your outliers and address them before they caught on fire and burned the place down? What if you could generate CMS universes on demand in real time? How would you use them? How would you change your compliance program? How would you change your department or increase efficiency without adding FTEs or additional hours to your day or your week?
And how do you organize that information so it's useful for you? I mean, there's a lot of products out there that folks can use, whether it be, homegrown products or reports. I mean, you have to be able to put it all into a place that you can review and look at that information as it's coming across. Excuse me. I'm sorry, give me one moment. Having a little bit of issue here again. we have to take a look at the bigger picture. Why your organization needs to achieve real-time compliance. First, compliance doesn't have the direct access or line of sight of the real operational data. Again, they're relying on folks to provide that information that's being given, and in many times is they're using different reports than the operational teams are using to get to the same information. Reliance on IT to construct reports pulled from operational data sources or dependent on reports that are operationally compiled themselves. Again, we've talked about that a moment ago. These are some of the things that that the obstacles that they have. So how do you get past some of those obstacles? How do you get the departments using the same set of reports? Why does CMS request the universes? Why are not those universes being used more from an operational perspective versus just from a compliance perspective the day that the regulator wants it or is asking for it? Changing existing reports, creating new ones, or obtaining ad hoc data can be difficult and time consuming. Again, if you're waiting for the audit, you're actually behind the 8 ball already as you're getting prepared for that. We've talked about the time lags. With reporting can mean that compliance isn't made aware of significant issues until weeks or even months after it. We have a client that was very clear with us, is that by the time they finished their first quarter reporting and data elements, it was already the month of June. Again, you're talking 2-3 months in the back. The next quarter's already done, and you're still working on correcting or adjusting to the pieces that happened months ago. So how do you get ahead of that? You need to ask your organization, what it is going to take to get there, to get that information upfront and available. In some cases, critical issues may not even be identified at all until an audit is happening. Again, not the way to try to get through and get into that. Again, trying to get ahead of the game, making sure that you have the information available to you, making sure that you have the time or the resources available to review that information isn't easy, and it's one of the challenges that we all have as we go through it. You need to think of ways to currently identify and remediate some of the issues that you have, whether it be bringing in a program that can help some of that, or putting a process in place where certain things get run and identified as the time elapses. Compliance incidents, audit results, KPIs monitoring, reports from business owners, etc. What is a typical time frame? How long does it actually take you to get that information? How long does it take you and your department to go through and review the information that's received? How accurate are you at identifying the issues based on the information that's been provided to you? How do you gather additional information or do further analysis once you do identify something's going on? How reliant are you on other areas to figure out what the issue actually was, what the true source of the problem could have been, and how do you go through and get that remediated timely and effectively? And how do you properly document that information? I mean, these are all some of the things that you have to take a step back and take a look at. Do you have a process to figuring out what the root cause is? Do you need outside inputs? I mean, we all know we can't know everything that's going on. That is why we have operations area. That's why we have compliance. And so that between the two, you have a holistic view of everything that's going on, from not only a functional aspect, but also compliance and a quality aspect as well. We forget that, the goal for both compliance and operations is to service the members, to get the items processed and paid as quickly as possible, and to ensure that all the Medicare or regulatory regulations are followed and worked through.
The paradigm shift. Yes, real-time compliance. It's a new paradigm. So your universes are your risk management tool. And for so long, that's not how we've looked at things. Universes were something we turned in, kept our fingers crossed, did the fast and dirty scrub to make sure we could clean up what we could. But what did we do with the information? Do we analyze that information? Do we break down that information? Do we actually work with it every day? Or do we just wait until it's called for? So with this paradigm shift, I want you guys to look at it differently. What I'd like to show you is compliance being linked with operational source data. Again, in real time, our operations and compliance colleagues must see the same information in real time, all the time, on demand. This will ensure that direct line of sight gives validity and integrity to your plan. In order to gather more information, perform additional analysis, or determine root cause without additional input from IT or business areas. None of us want to find out that something is on fire or broken or not working as well as it should be or completely out of compliance, only to have to turn around and go track down more information and have more days or weeks run out. We're never getting ahead of anything. We're constantly chasing those fires. How do we eliminate that data lag? We eliminate that by real-time risk identification. And how do we do that? By using our universes, by using real-time information all the time, so that we can see emerging risks through the windshield instead of the already established risks through the rearview mirror.
You know, again, organizations spend a lot of time and effort actually developing programs that pull the data, running them through to make sure that all the pieces are in place, making sure that the right fields are in place, making sure that IT gets the report run, somebody in operations goes through and validates it, then compliance goes through and validates it. All that information, all that effort that's taking place time and time again, and people are forgetting, like we showed a little earlier with the slide of the compliance quadrants, that there's a lot of information there that is useful from a day-to-day process. And until both operations and compliance are on the same team, looking at it the same way, using the same information to make sure that you're not only being compliant, but also being effective and functional with the same information. It's amazing how much data there's in those universes and how operationally sound that can help.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, Gabe. That's what we're supposed to use. That's what all of us, operations and compliance, are supposed to use to build our audit and monitoring tools, to review what's going on with our FDRs, to see what's going on in-house and how to change your compliance program from year to year. Those are the tools we're supposed to use. And we all know this, and we all want to. We all want to do the right thing. It just gets really hard and heavy when it takes months and 3 or 4 or 5 different operational areas just to get these universes. So we have to start looking at things different. If we actually want to succeed, if we want to take care of our members, if we want to be the great health plans that we can all be, that's how we have to start looking at this.
Absolutely. And we have a chat come through asking, so how do you do this with FDRs as well as with your internal, or is this only for the internal operation areas that you're responsible for? Again, that is where the difficulty comes in place, as we well know. One of the things is as a health plan, it's our responsibility, whether it's a FDR or our own internal areas, to make sure that those regulations are being followed and that the pieces are in place. How do you get how do you get your FDRs to provide you the information real time? How do you get those reports in place? How you monitor whether that they're submitting their claims data, utilization management data, denial data, all that timing accurately. I mean, those are some of the huge challenges that have to be faced as you're working through it. I mean, whether you have a software product that gives you alerts and identifies those pieces, or you put a process in place that makes sure that you are monitoring that they're submitting their information timely, effectively, and accurately. Those are some of the huge challenges that we have in place, and that, again, no magic wand answer for them. But again, some of the things that you do need to make sure that you have, and that allows you to make sure that you're continuing to keep your finger on the pulse, making sure that the items are happening as close to real time as possible.
Absolutely. Okay. So real-time compliance, what now? Well, in case anyone out there didn't know, we work at Innover. We actually do have a system that does this. This isn't supposed to be a hard sell on you guys to get you to buy our system. Really, what this is to get you to understand the importance of it. And I know that we all get this. We all understand it, that it has to happen. It's really understanding how we get it to happen. It's getting the people with the purse strings to understand that they've got to give us a little bit more money so that we can actually get this data in real time, so that we can actually take better care of our members. It's, if I can steal a little bit of what you were talking about, Gabe, I know that was your answer, but the FDRs were a great point. If most organizations, especially health plans that I've worked at in the past, in order to get our FDRs to get us information, it was a very hard process that sometimes took 3-6 months. They would send the information in any format they wanted to. And then somebody in my compliance shop had to revamp the information, try to put it in the specs for CMS, and then alert the FDRs on where there were gaps and deficiencies. Again, a year could go by between getting the information, correcting the information, caps put in place, caps closed, and signed off. Now, granted, that's at a bigger organization, but it could happen, and it has happened. So what if everyone starts looking at information the exact same way our regulators are looking at information? What if we take our universes, the same universes CMS is auditing, and we look at them all the time, and we know them inside and out, and we know all the information, and we know what to do with them? Does that change the way your organization looks? So what do we do now? Now there's a whole bunch of things you can do. You can all go back and decide you're going to build this on your own. You can figure out how you want to fix it or what you want to do next. Or you can call us, and we're happy to help you and talk to you. Or we're happy to help you we're happy to show you some of the products we have. Either way, we just want you to succeed, and we want you to use your universes to the best of your ability.
All right. We've gone well on time. It looks like I'm going to actually give you all a few minutes back to your days. You know, we want to thank you all in the audience for joining us today. I want to thank Innover for giving us the opportunity for Brenda and I to present to everyone. We'll leave the meeting on for some time, so if you have any questions, you can send those to us either through the chat or through email. Again, if you'd like to contact us directly, please feel free to send an email to Brenda Wade at innover.com or myself at Gabe Viola at innover.com. Again, if you have any questions about you know, what we presented today, or anything that we can, any ways that we can help, or suggestions that we have for how to get you know, your internal resources to provide the information as needed, please feel free to contact us, and we'll reach out to you immediately. Other than that,
thank you all so very much.
Good. Have a wonderful day.